So I'm Bruce Monroe. I'm a member of the board of the Dallas Way, and I produce these events, and I want to thank all of our speakers for being here. But as most people who speak, if we don't have an audience, nobody will hear us. So thank you all very much for coming. I will say that the very first black tie dinner I went to, I was a volunteer for the Dallas Gay Alliance, and I was given a free ticket. And it was the night that Bill Nelson won the award. And just so you know how far the black tie dinner has come, the decorations were blow-up palm trees on the table. And there are stories about John Thomas that night, and that'll be another story, because they were fun, I will say. We would be remiss without mentioning tonight that the man who you've all seen come and help everybody with the microphone and taking pictures tonight is our own Robert Emery. Yay, Robert. Who, of course, I hope you all know is the most recent male recipient of the 2013 Allen Ross Texas Freedom Parade Grand Marshal. And we're so proud of him. Not only has he made a place in history, but he has always been a part of history for the Dallas community. I'd also like to recommend or note a person who's here in the audience. The Dallas Way is now about to start doing oral histories. Now this is a very scholarly, process-driven kind of thing where we actually interview people from our community, and it's a very convoluted process, but it's trust me, it's going to be a fantastic thing, you know, when we get it started. And Dr. Clark Pomerleau from the University of North Texas is here tonight, and he is leading his class in teaching us how to do this. And he's also having his students do it for us. So I just want to acknowledge Dr. Pomerleau. Finally, for me at least, there are going to be two more people coming up here very briefly, and I know you're ready to go home. But Kay Wilkinson is going to come up and talk about what else but money. You know, money is important, and it drives many, many things. And Steve Atkinson is going to come up here and talk about probably the heart of what we do, and that's stories. So I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank Rebecca for being our lovely MC.
Well, come on, Kay, get up here, because everybody's so warmed up. We heard Bruce talk about, oh my gosh, it just made me quiver to think about some of the things that he's gone through, and really made us appreciate how much easier it is to come out today than it was in the early 80s. Mike Grossman told us that same story, and what a difficult time it was and what a difference you make. We're standing on the shoulders of these people. Karen McCrocklin, I got to tell you, whenever you think that elections don't matter, remember Karen's story, because it was a fair-minded president that put fair-minded people on the Supreme Court that gave us that decision. Whenever you go to black tie dinner or one of these other fundraising events and you're very generous with your money, just remember, like Mike Anglin said, that we are being witnessed because we remember these people whose shoulders we stand on that may not be with here. As long as we remember them, they are here. So let's do what we can to make sure that we capture this history and remember it. Kay, tell them how they can do their part.
Okay. Well, I am Kay Wilkinson, and I still have a big hole to fill. And of course, that hole is not my own, but the community's, of which you are a great part. Just like it was that night, and those damn boys have never let me forget it. Anyway, I just want to briefly remind you that the work we do here is totally volunteer and is done by the generosity of your gifts. And yes, we are a community with many choices and many responsibilities, and we have given and given and given. And I am going to ask you to give one more time. This lovely creation from our own Steve is just a reminder of how you can give. No gift is too small, and honey, no gift is too large. So, we will take your money tonight, or you can go home and contemplate the gift and send it to us. But do give often. Do remember the stories and give from your heart. We love you, we appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming.
Talking when everyone's ready for another drink or the restroom or whatever. But what a great night. Thank you all for being here. Yes, these speakers are wonderful. We just have decided on the board recently that we need to not miss opportunities to talk about something we haven't talked about enough that's a big part of our work on the Dallas Way. And you see the oral part of our work here. Part of it, we're also recording oral interview histories with people who aren't up here on stage. But we are going to continue these great things, but we also have a second big component of our history gathering that we're doing is to gather written stories. And you know, that may sound like kind of like, oh, a written story, whatever, kind of boring. Not at all. We are, as we get these stories, we're putting them on our webpage, which is word searchable, and you know, as it all builds and grows, ultimately what that means is that anyone in the universe who wants to go on the web and do a little research and look for gay history things is going to find our site. And you can type in the name Kay Wilkinson, and it will boom, 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 pop up and show you any story where Kay Wilkinson was mentioned, or any story where black tie dinner, or whatever search terms you type in. And it's really going to be a fantastic tool. So we're saying that everyone has a story, and what we want in the end of all this is to have stories collected for every person that's been involved in our community, for every organization, for every big political event, every city council, city hall battle. I mean, just all of it. We want the people, the places, the things, the happenings, all of that. This is just going down, down, down. And so we want your story, and every one of you in this room has at least one story to tell, and we want that damn story because it's important and we want it. So don't think you don't have a story, and not only do you have a story, but the organizations you've been a part of, the things that you have done in our community, we want to document all of that. And so we can give you more details about that, but what we want to do tonight is that same form that they mentioned a minute ago, that Kay mentioned, on the back of that form, even if you're not going to give us money, and we do that if you can, but even if you're not going to make a donation tonight or whatever, on the back of that form, give us your contact information and make a quick note about, I'll be the contact for the story about blank. And it may be you were one of the people that went to the first March on Washington and you want to tell that story, or whatever it is. Just give us that info, let us be in touch with you, and we'll work with you to get those stories done and collected. It's really not a hard thing, and we're really going to ramp this up, and a few years from now, we're going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these stories.